Okay, hey, welcome everybody. We are back, and we today are going to talk a little bit about GLP-1, which is a hot topic still to this day. But we really wanted to break some of this stuff down and talk about probably the biggest thing that happens with all of our new patients, and when they first start, what to eat, what not to eat. So Darlene's come up with kind of a top 5 foods to avoid, and then also some bonus tips and tricks at the end that she'll talk a little bit about on how to deal with that transformation, that getting acclimated to the medication and changing your eating habits, basically. Yep. Right? Okay. So let's start off with number 1, fatty and fried foods.
Yeah. So I think the first thing that I think of, and most people do when they've been on GLP-1 for a little while, is how the fatty and fried foods will float to the top of the stomach. And if you have a full stomach and this is your esophagus right here, you're going to come up into the esophagus because it will float to the top because you're always full. So imagine, also that you're washing dishes and all the stuff that floats to the top of the sink is basically what's floating to the top of your stomach. So that for sure is not good, right? It's tough on the digestive system, which is already slowed down by the GLP-1, because remember, this is a gastric reducer. So it empties slower now. So it'll worsen your nausea, cause indigestion, bloating. Examples are like fried chicken, French fries, bacon, greasy burgers. Honestly, this just staying away from it for the very first week is ideal, but staying away from it for the whole time is the very best choice because you don't need it anyway. The only fats that you should be eating are the good fats, which would be avocado, almonds, extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, all those fun favorite things that I bring up all the time. So the fatty and fried foods is number 1.
Okay. All right. And then we talk about sugary foods, refined carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm. Why is that so important to stay away from the sugary and refined carbs? Is because those actually are what we're trying to metabolize and get off with this GLP-1, which is a sugar metabolizer in and of itself. So because the GLP-1 is metabolizing your sugar, if you take in sugars or refined carbs, then it's going to start metabolizing all of that first before it metabolizes your stored fat. So keep that in mind when you decide you want to take in sugary or refined carbs. Now you can go ahead and kind of switch those carbs to maybe brown carbs instead of white carbs. So things that are not refined. So, brown rice, brown pasta, brown bread, whole grains, things like that. Right. And that could be a little bit more easier for the gut. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. But it does lead to blood sugar crashes. 100%, even when you're not on GLP-1, causes weight loss issues.
Yeah, for sure. And now number 3 is highly processed or packaged snacks, which in a busy world, people are at their office, people are out at their job, they need to eat something. This one's a hard one. Yeah, it is, because we can easily go to the grocery store and buy us a bunch of packaged stuff, or the gas station, and because we quickly need some sort of a something to help with our hunger. But the problem is, if it is more than one ingredient, it's probably not good and very processed. So when it's super processed, examples are like potato chips, snack cakes, instant noodles, then they're low in fiber, they're low in nutrients, they're high in sodium, they're high in trans fats. So all of that stuff is just going to cause an issue with your gut biome. Okay, so we need as much help with our gut as possible to help with this absorption of all these nutrients that we're getting in. Because remember, when you have a decreased gastric emptying, you can only fit about 1/3 into your stomach compared to what you used to. You want to make sure all that stuff is really good stuff. Right. Yeah, absolutely. High in nutrients, doesn't have all those crazy preservatives and packaging materials, the leaching of the plastic, etc. Right. Yeah, absolutely. One of the hard ones for me is carbonated beverages, especially energy drinks.
And honestly, this is just to prevent bloating and discomfort. So if you're someone who doesn't have an issue with bloating and discomfort with the carbonated beverages, then you should be okay. But examples are like soda, sparkling water, beer. These exacerbate fullness and stomach pressure. So, if you're one of those people who get a lot of like acid reflux or indigestion, then you want to stay away from this, because this will kind of like make it feel like you're fuller than you really are, because it's going to cause bubbles and air in the stomach, and then it's going to push everything up.
Right.
And you're going to feel it here in the esophagus.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have that acid.
And then you're going to feel full. You're not going to eat what you need to eat. You do need to continue to eat while you're on this diet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's extremely important to continue those frequent small meals.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Number 5 is good old alcohol.
Yep. The reason why it is kind of banned with this, because it does turn into sugar in your body. So you are going to metabolize all the alcohol before you start metabolizing your stored fat again, right? This can also irritate your stomach and your liver. We know that that is probably the biggest issue with alcohol. It can disrupt appetite regulation, leading to kind of like those choices that we don't really want to make, those poor food choices. So the examples are beer, wine, sugary cocktails, etc. It also can cause a little bit of the nausea too, and may impair your blood glucose control. I've noticed that people who drink alcohol don't really crave it anymore when they're on the GLP-1. So, kind of look at yourself when you're doing your semaglutide or your GLP-1 or whatever. When you actually do drink or partake of alcohol, are you feeling sicker when you do? Because if you are, you might want to stop it while you're on this.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. All right. Well, that ends and leads us to the bonus tips that you kind of talked about at the very end here, and how to transition this whole idea of being on the GLP-1 and what to focus on and all the good stuff. So what are those bonus tips?
First, like I said a minute ago, stick to those small, frequent meals. 6 meals a day versus, 6 small meals a day versus 3 large is going to be your very best friend. It'll keep that stomach small and full throughout the day, and then it never empties and then causes that ravenous hunger, and then focusing on the lean protein, the whole grains, the vegetables, the healthy fats, all in moderation, because you're not going to be able to fill your stomach up as much. So little bits at each meal, right? And then hydrate well. Sip slowly so you don't feel like fully hungry. But I noticed when I was on the GLP-1 that I would early in the morning when I woke up, I would drink almost a whole bottle of water just to fill up my stomach, because it had emptied overnight. So that's okay to do, but during the day, if you sip, it keeps you kind of full throughout the day.
Right. Okay. And at the end here, you kind of talk a little about if this kind of persists, what to do and how to manage that.
Yeah, I mean, if it continues to persist and you're unsure about what to eat, just let us know. We can help you. We'll give you a diet protocol. Mm-hmm. And that diet protocol will help you through, like, going to the grocery store, what to buy, what to eat, what works best with our body. And then, honestly, last but not least, the one thing we learned at the seminar that we took, because this is it was a peptide seminar, you want to not eat anything 60 minutes before your shot and 60 minutes after.
That's super important.
Yeah.
Right.
For some reason, it causes the metabolization of the GLP-1 in your body to not work as well if you eat during those periods.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that helps. A lot of people that are on this medication have these questions, and these are probably the top questions that we get in our practice. Mm-hmm. And so please make sure you're talking to your provider. And if you're not getting the care that you're looking for, then by far, come to us. We're at Optimum Health Med. You can, check us out, talk with Darlene. She can guide you through the best way to go through this protocol. Because, there's a lot that some, don't know out there. And so not that people are trying to do things bad by any means, but we really want to be able to help as many people as we can. And hopefully this video helps you kind of understand what to do and how to eat when you're on a GLP-1 or a GIP. So that's it for us today. We'll have more content coming to you soon, and hopefully you can check us out at our channel, and that is Wellness Decoded. Definitely give us a thumbs up, like this, share, and if you feel so inclined, please subscribe so that you get that notification when we have new content pop up for you. So that's it for us.
Yep. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at the next one. Love ya.
Love ya.
Bye.